Welcome to Bed Crime Stories podcast. I'm your host, T. To my bed crimers, hi, how you doing? Hope you're having a great day. To anyone new here, a warm welcome. Thank you for checking out my channel. Let me just ask that after listening to or watching the video, if you find you enjoyed it or learned something, do me a favor, smash that like button and consider subscribing. Also, if you appreciate my work, please consider supporting the channel with a Patreon membership. Now, let's dig in. FoxNews.com is reporting today that Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson asked the FBI to investigate an expert witness for the defense of Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger. Gabriela Vargas, an expert on investigative genetic genealogy and the founder of a business called DNA ID, testified about DNA matching in the Kohberger case. During a hearing on August 18th of 2023, Vargas was testifying as a defense expert for Bryan Kohberger, meaning Vargas was hired by Team Kohberger. Days after she testified in the hearing, the FBI knocked on Ms. Vargas's door, according to Bryan Kohberger's defense lawyers. The FBI had gone to Ms. Vargas's house at the request of Prosecutor Bill Thompson. Thompson and other Latah County prosecutors had heard through colleagues that Ms. Vargas had expressed that she was reneging on some of the things she was testifying to in court for Kohberger's defense. Thompson said, quote, "When we heard of that, I reached out to investigators and asked, can you find out what is going on? The FBI agreed, and Ms. Vargas claimed that some of what was in her declaration she had inadvertently agreed to or signed without fully reading it. We're documenting that so we can share it with Ms. Taylor," end quote. So Thompson, after hearing that Vargas was saying she had inadvertently signed the declaration without fully reading or agreeing to everything in it, felt that he needed the FBI to go to Vargas and ask about this, which is what he did. He then documented all of this to share with Kohberger's lawyers. Kohberger's team, however, once they found out about the FBI going to Ms. Vargas's home after hours to speak to her, got upset and are claiming that the FBI interrogating Vargas in this manner after she testified in court is a violation of Bryan Kohberger's rights of due process. Kohberger's lead attorney, Ann Taylor, said of this incident during a recent August court hearing, quote, "Last night she," meaning Gabriela Vargas, was visited by 2 FBI agents and interrogated about her testimony and the findings of her declaration. That, in our view, impacts Mr. Kohberger's due process rights." End quote. Bill Thompson then filed an explanation with the court, which is under seal. I would imagine it lays out everything that Thompson has said about hearing that Vargas wasn't happy with her signed declaration, about having the FBI go to her house to find out what was going on, etc. Apparently, this exchange took place during an August 23rd court hearing, but it resurfaced last week when District Attorney Bill Thompson declined to cross-examine Ms. Vargas and another defense DNA expert. Thompson is asking for more time to prepare for these cross-examinations. The bottom line is that Kohberger's lawyers are accusing the FBI of interfering with their genetic genealogy expert witness, Ms. Vargas. Specifically, Kohberger's lead attorney, Ann Taylor, is saying that the FBI agents harassed Ms. Vargas shortly after she'd taken the stand in that August court hearing. Taylor also stated that she intends to file a motion regarding, quote, "what happens to witnesses after they testify in court," end quote. Former FBI agent Tracy Walder spoke to Law and Crime about this situation, where the FBI, at the prosecution's request, goes and visits a witness after they've delivered testimony, and Walder said this: "It is not something I typically hear about FBI agents going in and visiting a witness after they have delivered testimony. However, I think a lot of that lies with perception and how Ms. Vargas felt during that discussion. I would hope that copious amounts of notes were being taken, and I would hope that the FBI has a very good reason," end quote. The declaration Gabriela Vargas signed includes all of her credentials to support her status as an expert witness on investigative genetic genealogy and DNA matching. But a big part of her declaration had to do with law enforcement taking a genetic profile of an unknown DNA contributor and having a genealogist upload it into the public direct-to-consumer DNA databases GED Match and Family Tree DNA. Vargas mentioned that comparisons are then made between that unknown DNA profile and DNA profiles of individuals who have voluntarily contributed their DNA profiles to those databases and who opted into law enforcement matching. But then Vargas also mentioned loopholes in these databases that allow genealogists to see matches to individuals who have explicitly declined to participate in law enforcement matching. Vargas said that using the database tools in this manner to see those matches requires effort and knowledge. Statement 16 in her declaration reads, "I am aware that law enforcement has obtained results in ways prohibited by the terms of use and prohibited by their own policies," end quote. So does that mean that Vargas is saying that the investigators working on this investigation obtained results in ways prohibited by the terms of use and prohibited by their own policies? That statement doesn't say specifically the investigators working on the Bryan Kohberger investigation. But is that what that statement is meant to imply? Personally, I find the wording of that statement ambiguous. Either way, though, now we have to wonder if that is one of the statements that Vargas, per the prosecution, is now saying she did not fully read before she signed the declaration. Can this case get any more complicated? Let's just hope that justice is served, whatever that turns out to be. Kohberger deserves a fair trial, but his expert witnesses should also not be signing declarations clearly written by the defense team that they haven't fully read and agreed to. So much is riding on this case that no one can afford to make mistakes. Until the next time on Bed Crime Stories, hey, did you enjoy this? If so, smash that like button.